So you're planning on buying your first car and you're thinking Range Rover, right? Yeah, Range Rover because it's big, it's fancy, it's luxurious, it's when it passes you on the road, people will always turn their eyes, oh, it's a Range Rover and all that. Probably commands respect. But as a first time buyer, I'm going to tell you that that's going to be your first mistake. As a first time car buyer, you shouldn't consider buying a Range Rover. You should never consider buying a Range Rover if you're a first time buyer. I'm going to walk you through the reasons why you shouldn't do that. Like I said, it shouldn't even be your top 10 choice if you're a first time buyer. It's got a lot of issues that you don't want to put yourself into. It's got a whole lot of issues that you'd basically want to avoid. Now, I'm just going to dive into it just so I don't keep you here for long. The first problem there is air suspension failure. Range Rover has always been known for air suspension failure, balloons and all that. They've always been known for air suspension failures. And this is very, very common. In fact, if you speak to 90% of Range Rover car owners, they will tell you that that's one of the first problems. Are you able to maintain that? Are you able to change the air suspension? It's very expensive. It could cost thousands of pounds to change it. So and basically, I know you're not going to be taking it to any roadside mechanic. They've got designated mechanics for it, Range Rover certified mechanics that could handle it. Because if you take it to any roadside mechanic, you could damage the car more. So you're going to be taking it to a certified Range Rover mechanic, and then once they do their magic there, the cost of workmanship and all that, telling you this is how much it will. I'm not talking about the parts here. I'm not talking about the air suspension itself. I'm talking about the workmanship and all that. Once they tell you the price, you would. I don't think you're going to be too comfortable with it. So it will cost you a lot of money to change the air suspension. Ask anybody people that have got Range Rover. We just sold one last 2 weeks. So that's always the common problem that you have with it. And it's not very cheap to change. If you check, like I said, you could do your research and just double check. You're going to see the price. So to change the oil, the air suspension is always expensive, including the workmanship. It will cost you a lot of money. That's not a venture. It's not something you want to venture into. When you should be saving money or using money to do something else, you're spending more money to repair a car. Now, the second problem it has is engine failures. Now, the engine failures would always be caused by engine oil leaks. Like I said, if your car is leaking, if there's a leakage, or there's an oil leakage from your car engine and all that, it's very likely if you don't notice it on time, it's going to damage your engine. Your engine needs the engine oil to function. It needs engine oil to be able to lubricate it and then function properly and all that. So if there's an oil leakage there, it's going to always affect the engine. This is the common problems Range Rover car owners have. So it doesn't tell you, like you just wake up one morning and you notice it's got an oil leakage. This is sometimes because of worn out gaskets and all that. And like I said, you're looking at buying a reliable car. So why would you just wake up one morning, you just got a car, and then less than 1 year there's some oil leakage there and all that? It will affect your engine. So these are common problems that Range Rover car owners would always have. And the next problem is maintenance. Are you able to maintain the Range Rover? Now, like I said, if one of the problems is oil leakage is caused by worn out gasket and all that, it's basically because you haven't been able to maintain the car. You haven't been able to take it for routine maintenance and all that. The reason why it's very difficult for you to do that is it's very expensive to maintain Range Rover cars. It's very, very expensive. Ask anyone. In most African countries and all that, or even most EU countries and all that, you don't just take your Range Rover to any roadside mechanic like I've mentioned. So it has to be certified Range Rover mechanic, and then the maintenance for that car is always very expensive. It could cost you, like, let me give you an example. For my Toyota CHR will cost me about, because it's hybrid, it could cost me about 150 to sometimes 400 pounds because of it's a hybrid to maintain, and it's once a year and all that. But for Range Rover, it could cost you from 800 to thousands of pounds to maintain, depending on what they're going to be changing there. So yeah, it could change the engine oil, the filter, and then it could change your brake pads, your brake fluids and all that if they're old. So it will cost you a lot of money to do to properly maintain that car. Like I said, money you could use to do something else. That's what you'll be spending on Range Rover. And why I gave you the example with my Toyota CHR is CHR is that it's actually that's the highest I've actually paid in maintaining a car, like routine maintenance and all that. With the Vauxhall Antara I had before, also a British car, normally will cost me £70 to maintain. So £70 will include both the workmanship, to change oil, filter, and or engine oil. £70 and I'm done. I'm off. I've gone off, and then that's it. So it's £70 and all that. That's what I spend every 5,000 miles to maintain that car. So that was very easy for me, pocket friendly and all that. That was very, very easy for me. So as a first time buyer, you wouldn't consider that because it's going to cost you more money to maintain that car. Now the next problem also is fuel consumption. Now, like I always advise, if you're a first time buyer, why don't you stick to cars with good fuel economy, cars with low engines at 1.8 engines and 1.7 engines and all that. That will save you money on fuel. It's basically if what you want to use the car is just for your day-to-day runnings, you're off to work, you're off to visit a friend, and it could serve you. Why don't you get a car with that engine size 1.8 and all that? Why if a Range Rover could start from V6 to V8 to even V12 engines, that will cost you a lot of money to fuel the car daily. As a first time buyer, this is not a good it's not a good venture for you, because like I said, you're looking forward to saving money. You want to save money, so the cost of fueling that car is always I think if you've driven a V8 car before, you understand what I mean. It's like at one throttle you've lost 5 liters of fuel. It's always so. As a first time buyer, why would you want to invest in that kind of venture? Why don't you get a smaller car? Like I said, people who buy Range Rover cars are basically, if you speak to them, my customers and all that, when I speak to them and all that, you would notice they have other cars. So Range Rover is almost like their ceremonial cars. So it's either for weddings, either for meetings, either for vacations and all that. That's why they basically that's why they've got a Range Rover and all that. So they don't basically use it as their day-to-day runnings. You're going to kill the car, and then when you kill the car, it's going to cost you a lot of money to revive it. So if it's your first car, it's not wise. If it's your second car or your third car, then it's fine. And also, I have also seen people, I've got customers also that have got very clean Range Rover. They've had their Range Rovers for as long as 2, 3, 4 years, and it's doing well. They're driving it and all that. If you're lucky, you could get a good Range Rover. That's if you're lucky. And also, because of maintenance, if you're also cautious about constantly maintaining the car, that could work for you. So if you're constantly checking what is wrong with the car, taking it for routine maintenance, going to a certified Range Rover dealer, and then they change whatever stuff, like, yes, and you have the money to fix the car, yes, that's good for it's a British car. So that's good for you. Then that means you will enjoy your Range Rover. But if you're a first time buyer who you've just got a couple of thousands of pounds in your pocket and you're just trying to get something new and all that, that's not a venture for you. Now the next one is depreciation value. Unlike other cars, if you got your Toyota for £25,000 pounds and all that, and after 1 year or 2 years you want to sell that car, you notice that as long as you've got good mileage, as long as it's still within 100,000 miles, you might notice you might still sell that car for as high as £20,000. I know most cars will depreciate and all that, but you still sell that car between £20,000. But that's not the case with Range Rover. Ask Range Rover car owners, if you buy that car for as high as, let me give you an example, £20,000, and after 2 years you want to sell that car, you'd notice that you'd want to sell that car for as low as £8,000 or even £7,000. So it's not always it won't be the same as you have a Toyota, you want to resell it. The value is never going to be the same. So why don't you stick to buying a Toyota car, buying a Honda car, buying a Volvo car? I made a video on the best cars to buy if you're planning on buying your first car or your new car and all that. I made a video and then explained why these car brands are actually the best. So it doesn't really make sense to me that as a new buyer, you're going to be looking at Toyota. There have been a lot of recalls. So if you do your research and all that, you see that Range Rover has actually recalled a couple of cars, ranging from car door issues, ranging from engine leaks, ranging from the air filter and all that, air suspension. And they've been a couple of recalls, and they recalled a couple of cars. That tells you a lot. And also, if you want to insist and buy a Range Rover, do not buy anyone that's above 100,000 mileage. Do not try it. because I mean, you're gonna be burying yourself in that car. So please, like I said, before you buy your first car, do your research. Do not go for a Range Rover if you're a first time buyer. Do not go for a Range Rover. These are the reasons why you shouldn't go for it. It's got a whole lot of issues, and if you're not financially capable to maintain that car, it can ruin you. It can take you back to, if you're an immigrant, it could take you back to your country. I will see you on the next video. Do not forget, we have a couple of videos on car maintenance and all that. Do not forget to go watch and comment and tell me your views. If you also have a Range Rover, I want to get your experience in the comment section. Tell me how you feel and how you've been able to maintain your car. And we'll see you on the next video where we'll talk about the best car brands and all that to buy.